Hey everybody, I'm Tommy. Last time I checked, this is still the lifeboat. What's happening, Kristen Melinda? Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Blue Bayou, I'm glad you're here. Kristen Melinda, I'm sorry. Lisa Trimble. Hey, Lisa Trimble, thanks for being here. Roberta, got notifications. You know what? Every once in a while, man, even a blind squirrel will find an acorn. And YouTube is not always great for that, but occasionally. Lisa, how are you? That would be Lisa Ayers. Caroline in Canada. Tell you what, people, if you are Diddy fans, we're going to be talking Diddy today. If you're not a Diddy fan, you can yell at everybody else because I'm not doing this for any other reason other than the fact that, holy hell, did I get a bunch of emails about wanting me to do this. Just Joan, how are you? I'm not joking, folks. A lot of people want me to talk about this. Megan, how you doing? So we're going to talk about it. We're going to do that thing. And why not? Because there's a lot to talk about. There really is. You miss sleep? Oh, babe, I understand that. I really do. Annabelle Black Boots, how are you? Linda Burton, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Annabelle. Good to have you. So Cassie Ventura started on the stand yesterday, as probably most of you know. Clifton Ferguson. Hey, Saguaro Christmas. Good to see you. Cindy J, good to have you. Kay Canadian. Lilac. How are you, Amy? So she got on the stand yesterday. We all know enough about trials to know what's coming, right? She's going to get hit by the defense. There's a reason that Diddy wanted to get a lot of women on that defense team. The reason is if you send out Mark Agnifilo to start talking about and asking questions about being raped or sexually assaulted, it isn't going to do a whole hell of a lot of good for their case. They're going to come across as insensitive. They're going to come across looking like cavemen. Put a deuce in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. For real. It's already happening. So if you try to catch any of this stuff live, unless you're there, right? Unless you're there, it's a very difficult thing to do. You're going to end up reading a lot of transcripts. And there's also a bunch of people that are going in there and doing some great reporting. Tissa Tells is doing an excellent job. Tissa Tells broke down in her video today talking about this stuff. For real. It's very, very ugly. And the stuff that is coming out right now, we've heard the stories about these freak-offs, people, right? We have heard the stories about these freak-offs. And I've talked about stuff like this on the Lifeboat in the past with a girl that I once dated, where you paint an image in your head of what something is. You get an image in your head of what a freak-off is. And we're talking about this guy's almost a billionaire, right? Or they claim he's a billionaire, whatever. He's worth a lot of money and he's a freak, right? He's super, super into this whole sex stuff. When you go and start to listen to some of the things that happen, you get a much different idea in your head of what a freak off looked like. And I don't care how much money this guy had. There's nothing at all about these things that was like, set up and glamorous. We heard about them, spreading rose petals and he was putting on the love. It's nothing like that at all. It was nothing like that at all. It was more like a crack house where a girl was forced to perform so that she could get the next hit. And I'm not saying he was rewarding this woman with drugs, but she had to drug the hell out of herself in order to have it happen. And they would bring people in, men, to abuse her. And they would be... she would be forced to call and arrange it. We all know this stuff. We've heard it. Today, there was they actually brought in a book of men, a book of escorts so that she could identify these people. And some of them had, names like The Punisher, which really gives you a really nice feeling about what Miss Ventura was enduring. We know the prosecution is going to say that this is going to paint this the same way that we have heard for since this broke, since she sued him in November, a year ago now, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now, kicking this whole thing off, right? A couple will be coming up on 2 years. It's ugly, but her taking the stand and talking about this is a whole different level of ugly. But if you're following this, you're probably watching on some of the larger networks where they do a live feed and they'll have some talking heads come on and they'll talk about the trial. You know the drill. But in the chat before these things go live, right? In the chat before this is ready to roll, you will see comments of people talking about Cassie Ventura being a whore, and this is just something that she was into, and this bitch is taking down this guy's empire. And it's a terrifying narrative that people can listen to what is coming out of this, right? And we're going to talk about some of the testimony that came out today. But I think it's worth it. It gives you an idea of the hate that is on this planet. Today, the jurors had to hear testimony of the injuries that she sustained, not from getting her ass kicked by Diddy, because that was a daily occurrence almost. If the guy was in a bad mood, he was going to crack her in the head, sometimes with absolute no provocation. Now, I don't know if you have any idea what that does. I don't know if you have any idea what a big deal that is. Rip Curl, good to see you, brother. That's a huge deal. It's what they do when they try to break someone down. It's very similar to the kind of programming that goes on in cults or in anything else. Or the best example known to man would be the relationship that often blossoms between a pimp and the woman he sells. There's a dependency and a weird kind of love that if the person believes if there is a chance in hell that they can do this right, if they can just do everything right, then they're going to treat her the way they did that first month or the first 3 months. Or in Cassie Ventura's case, I think that she loved this man in a big way. And I think that she was hoping to be Kim Porter. I think she was hoping to have children with him. And, but testimony today apparently was the first time she remembers him ejaculating, and it was during a rape. Vicious testimony today. She talked about constantly having UTIs because, I mean, keep it real. You're going to go and spend days of people abusing you. And apparently pictures were shown today. And the prosecution, I think by all accounts of the people that were in the courtroom and have seen these pictures, the prosecution has done an amazing job of getting us, the jury, getting them into the room, right? Into the freak off. Because again, even if people on this jury say, yeah, I have no idea, never heard of any of this. Who hasn't heard of a freak off in the last year, right? There's nobody on planet Earth that hasn't heard of a freak off. This has been so in the news. It's just been such a big deal, right? But now they're going to see pictures of it, and they're going to see strewn bottles of lube all over the place. And it's just, the room is trashed. It's not. And there were pictures apparently of Cassie where she just looked like, well, she had been beat up. And let's keep it real. She had been. She'd been beat up. This man, it was a cuckold. He liked watching his woman be there's no other way to say it, is there? Be abused sexually by other men, and he would pay. He would force her to arrange these encounters. Now I'll tell you something. The testimony today buries this cat. Right? He's not walking free. I promise you. After the testimony today, he does not walk free. Doesn't mean he's going to get convicted of all counts. But the amount of testimony of them paying people to cross state lines for the purpose of having sex. This like, I don't know how the defense defends Diddy without admitting that, yeah, we pay a bunch of people. Now they're going to say these weren't sex workers. They're just swingers. Right? They're swingers. They hang out together. They do this stuff. Look, I've never really been a swinger. Never did the swinger lifestyle, right? But my understanding is that swingers get together and trade off wives and do crazy stuff like that because they're into it, right? At the end of a swinger party, you don't have to hand somebody a stack of money. Or you don't say to somebody on the way into a swinger party, let me see your driver's license. And then you take your phone and you're filming the driver's license. I assure you that's a threat, right? That's a threat. Everything that was going on in these rooms, right, is what we had talked about a year ago when we all got along. It's exactly what's happening, except there's nothing in it that doesn't stink of a back alley, a snuff film without the murder. Boy, they're going to love that one with the algorithm, aren't they? We'll kill your video in one sentence. But that's what was going on. This was abuse, right? That sometimes you got to tap out. Sometimes you got to bring in a new guy, right? If the Punisher gets tired or whatever. And the whole time you got this freak watching and waiting for the guy to ejaculate, right? So that you can then smoke off into the other room and have your girl rub it all over you. There was also testimony that It's horrific. But there's testimony that she was urinated on, that Diddy paid male sex workers to urinate on her. I want to ask you, right? For all of the geniuses who are going to show up in the chat and say to me, she was into this. You think she was into this? I think that she was a very young girl, right, who was with a guy gave her a 10 record deal. Of course, there'd only been what? They say she's a one-hit wonder. If your guy doesn't allow you to make any more records, you're probably going to be a one-hit wonder. Right? And that kind of control, the carrot and the stick, right? Testimony today about the beatings, the first time she was beat up, the second time, the third time, the testimony of that, the bruises. And by the way, she talked to people about this. Photographs were taken by people, right? There were images shown of what her back looked like because he really apparently liked to kick her in the ass and the lower back. Classy. Really classy. Right? You know what that does to a person. You're going to go absolutely flying and land on your face. I don't care how somebody kicks you in the lower back, you're flying on your face. You get into a U shape, and when you spring back, I promise, it's a horrific thing. There was testimony about her getting kicked in the head by Sean Combs in a car, like one of those SUVs, 3-row kind of thing. Got her in the very back and was kicking her for about a 10-minute car ride home. After which she was so abused and so bruised up that he said he didn't want his kids seeing it this way. Sneak her out the back. And then he would literally, put her someplace until the bruises would heal. You call that what you want. Sounds like kidnapping. I mean, honestly, what does it sound like? I'm going to force you to go somewhere and wait until you are no longer somebody that, your damage isn't going to get me in trouble, kind of a thing. But we're going to hear jackasses, I promise, all over the place. We're going to hear people saying, hey, she was into it. This was their lifestyle. You're going to hear the term mutual combat come out. Mutual combat. Because this 115-pound girl and Sean Combs fighting, that could be mutual combat. Not in any world I lived in. I promise you. That mismatch right there, we saw what happened in the hallway, right, of the Intercontinental Hotel. And apparently the jury's going to see what happened inside that hotel room. When she would go after a beatdown and he'd have to ship her off, he would put someone there with her. Right? What, to make sure she's safe? Right? Who the hell you got to protect her from? From Diddy. No, that person was there to make sure she wasn't going to go do something she shouldn't. Like be seen in public. Because if you're the girl that's dating Sean Combs and you get seen with bruises all over your freaking face, he's going to have to start doing damage control or whatever. The elements of this crime that are going to be hard to prove are going to be the RICO case. The rest of this, I just don't see the prosecution having a problem doing anything but beating this man to death. The testimony today, people, was horrific. She talked about having sores in her mouth constantly from the amount of oral sex she was forced to do with these freak-offs, from friction. I don't even know what to say. Honest to God, I don't even know. And you know what's crazy? Diddy's kids are in court listening to this. And by all accounts, by the way, they sit like this, right? Until the jury leaves the room. And then they lay back like this and they put their feet up and do exactly what you would expect the kids of Sean Combs to do in a courtroom if there was nobody watching. Oh, I want to tell you something. As sad as this is, Blue Bayou, as sad as this is, you can believe that this can happen at a hotel and that nobody calls the cops. I promise you can. Allegedly, there was like $100,000 or something, $100,000, right? God in heaven. You'd like to believe that somebody couldn't be bought for $100K, but you know something? If you have a hotel in Hollywood, how many times do you think something like this happens in hotels out there? People with the kind of money that this guy has, they can go in multiple directions. That, the narrative also becomes that if you got money, you're going to abuse the hell out of women, treat people like crap. There are great human beings who do beautiful things with the money that they earn. There are. And there are people that don't abuse women, whether they're incredibly wealthy or whether they're poor or whatever. It's just kind of the reality of life, right? But this guy and what he did with his money didn't mean anything to Diddy. Apparently, by the way, Cassie today said that she wrote the book and sent it to Diddy because she wanted him to understand, this is what you did to me, man. Right? It was her way of barking out after, a decade of just unbelievable abuse. And he didn't even read it. Right? She talked to somebody and the woman's like, oh, he's not taking that seriously. He didn't even read it. Right? So she came back and asked for $30 million with a legal team. We all know that. And the rumors have always been that it could have been 30, could have been 35. Turns out it was 20. The settlement that Cassie got was $20 million. Megan says, Cassie proved Rico today by saying his staffers set it up, stocked the hotels with items, and he provided the drugs. Cassie repeatedly said his staff and his bodyguards. Also, you have to realize that although this physical abuse, Megan, although the domestic violence, the DV, I'm supposed to say DV or they're going to demonetize this. The domestic violence, right? That's not a federal crime, but it's a predicate act, right? The Kid Cudi incident, they're not charging that, but they talked about it today. That's terroristic crap, right? He wanted the car blown up and he wanted Kid Cudi to see it happen. If you're Cassie Ventura and your boyfriend blows up a guy's car because you're hanging out with him, the next time he says, hey, we're doing a freak off tomorrow, you're probably a little bit more likely to go, oh, okay. Right? But the saddest part of this isn't the coercion and the threats and all of that. The saddest part of this is that when you read the testimony that this woman said on the stand, what comes through, if you read it slowly, is that this is a person who wanted to be loved. Right? She loved this dude. This dude beat her. This dude lied to her. This dude enjoyed watching men physically abuse her. But she loved them. And I'll tell you something. There's going to be a lot of people that go, that just sweep all of this crap under the carpet, right? That, well, there are people that just had a very different kind of relationship. Well, that's an abusive relationship. It's a massively abusive relationship. And as you start to put in all of the elements of the coercion, you own her record deal, right? She has no career if she says no to you. You punch her in the face, sometimes for no apparent reason. She said at one point, he just sort of called her over and punched her in the face. I had no idea what happened. Doesn't know why she got hit. This is it's the carrot and the stick. While all of this is going on, you're getting on a G6, right? To fly to some exotic locale where he is going to throw $50,000 pieces of jewelry at you, right? So the bad is the worst that you could possibly imagine. But the good is fairy tale bullshit good, right? You're riding around in Bentleys and you've got, it's insane. Yeah, this is a very, very interesting comment. Time Out Humanity. This is a very, very interesting comment. I don't understand why the business itself, Cowboys and Angels, they have a website online, does not get charged with prostitution, but the customer does. This is a gray area that an awful lot of crime exists in our country. So escort services are rampant throughout this country. And the theory is that the escort company does not condone anything sexual of any kind. What they do is they arrange an escort for you, and you could pay, thousands of dollars for some of the really, really high dollar escorts. And these people come out in theory, right? They're going to provide, like, very often when people walk the red carpet, they could pay $2,000 or $3,000 to have a supermodel kind of, liposuctioned and breast implanted and lips puffed up and the whole number, right? In a really nice gown, and they can rent that person for the night so that you're not walking the red carpet alone and you look like, you got it going on. And that kind of crap happens all the time. Now, that would be an escort. That the woman's not having sex with anybody. She's an escort. That's actually what she does, right? And these kind of things happen. At award shows, people use escorts to sit next to, right? So that you're not there alone. So in theory, escort services are supposed to be doing that. Then the person gets out there and says, all right, so here are the rates, and it's this much more if you're doing this, and there's like a menu kind of a situation. It's a gray area. It's a gray area, and it's sleazy as shit. And you're right? You're absolutely right. On the bright side, right? I guess I don't know the customer, right? It becomes like. It's like CP, right? Child porn. The people that are buying it are the reason that it's out there. It's not that it's out there and it creates buyers. It's like anything else. If there's no market for this stuff, right, then you don't have to worry about. So if they started picking customers off more often, if they started taking out people that were buying this stuff, then in theory, if they make it frightening enough. But in all honesty, you're never going to get caught using an escort service. You're not going to get busted for that. The only reason Sean Combs is getting busted for that is because the guy's an absolute lowlife, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, the guy's an 11. Allegedly. Look, I'm not, we're not talking about, but if nothing else comes out, right? If nothing else comes out in this case, other than what Cassie talked about today on the stand, this is one of the worst people alive. By the way, the term kink shame is really getting a lot of traction. You could knock me over with a feather if you had told me 20 years ago that kink shame is going to be in our dictionaries. But it's a very bad thing to kink shame somebody, and this is just his get down. If your get down is abusing somebody, right, and that person digs being abused, I'm not saying it makes a hell of a lot of sense, but make no mistake, there are people out there that like a little abuse. And there are people out there that like to dish that abuse out. And those people sometimes find each other. And I'm not kink shaming that. If that's your get down, right, get busy. But if the person you're abusing is sticking around, not because they're into it and because this is fun, but they're sticking around because they're terrified. Or they're sticking around because if they don't, their life is over. And I don't mean that he would kill her, although I would imagine she thought he would. I mean, he blew up a car. Right, that Kid Cudi incident had to scare the ever-loving you-know-what out of her. She talked about having to take opiates every single time one of these freak-offs was over, right? She didn't say every time, but she said often. I don't know. I can't imagine the things that this woman endured, right? Covered with baby oil and hopped up on drugs. She described being dosed up with ketamine and going into the K-hole, which I've described on the boat many times. If you're not familiar with ketamine, ketamine it's an analog of PCP. It's a pretty rugged damn drug, and when you get into the K-hole, it's a kind of overdose that isn't going to usually take you off the planet, but you have overdosed. You have gone past the dose you should. And one of the things that happens is it tends to narrow your vision in a really big way. And people describe it as being in the bottom of a well, like being in a well looking up. I don't know if you've ever taken a pair of binoculars and turned them backwards and looked backwards through a pair of binoculars, but that's K-hole. It's the peripheral vision just goes black in like a circle, and it makes you feel like everything you're looking at is way the hell away. It's a terrifying feeling. And apparently she woke up in the shower with everybody trying to sort of bring her back. It's fairly frightening, right? Money is not everything. No, it is not, I promise. But today was ugly. Yeah, Vanessa says, yeah, brutal with an LOL. Sounds like Vanessa. I mean, Vanessa has experienced the K-hole. I think I would want Rohypnol just so it would all go poof in my head. Yeah, well, you know something? There are places in other countries where Rohypnol, fluinitrazepam, I think is the chemical name for that drug, where they would use that for that reason. And I'm not dead serious. Like if a person endured a really horrific attack, or a gang rape or something like that, the police would take them in and have them do statements and audio and video, the whole thing, and then basically give them the gift of erasing their memory. For real. There's another drug that does it, and we don't do it in the United States, but there are other countries that do this. What the hell is the name of that drug? They call it milk of amnesia. Propofol. That crap that they were giving Michael Jackson, I think it's propofol. Milk of amnesia? No, it may be something else. It may start with a V. I can't remember what the hell is. Someone will help me. How long do I see Diddy getting? I'll tell you what. You've done gamma hydroxybutyrate. I've done that too. And I think ketamine is a far scarier drug than GHB, but I mean recreationally, right? I don't know. What they're doing with the stuff is pretty scary in and of itself. If you're giving somebody drugs, yeah, correct. They woke her up in the shower, and then Diddy forced her to continue with the worker while in the K-hole, which is, honest to God, I'm not sure I can wrap my brain around the terror. Whatever Cassie got paid, it ain't enough. It isn't. That $20 million or whatever isn't enough money. And the fact that she's got to get on the stand and relive this stuff is absolutely awful. Her man was not allowed in. It is propofol. Thank you, Megan. A surgical sedative. Thank you. But yeah, it's I can't imagine how bad he must hate her in order to do that. I mean, honestly, I don't think. Maybe he's not capable of love. Who knows? It's a really weird, and I'm no shrink, man. You know what? I don't know if we're going to see Diddy's right-hand woman, bodyguards, etc. Well, they have to testify. If they don't testify, then I think we're going to see trials when this is over, and these people are going to be prosecuted. And this would not be the first time something like this has happened, right? This happens actually fairly regularly. In RICO cases, a lot of times, if the person just runs and hides, doesn't talk, says, I don't want to talk about this, got nothing to do with me, it's going to have something to do with you when this case is over. The testimony that's going to come out in this trial is going to bury a lot of these people. The stuff that Cassie Ventura is saying on the stand about people are going to cause some of these people to be prosecuted, unless we're going to see them later in the trial as witnesses. But I don't know how you could be one or not the other, right? If you're not going to be a witness, I would imagine you're going to be a defendant, right? How could you set this crap up knowingly and not be in trouble for it? You know something? You guys are on tonight. He was very jealous of her, says Vanessa. Jealousy is the ugliest emotion on planet Earth. I'm sorry, it really is. It is a cancer. And I know everybody has a little bit of jealousy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of jealousy that that Diddy had, right? I think here's the thing on the sentencing. The transporting people across state lines, right? All of that stuff, the Mann Act stuff, all of those I think are a lock. I don't know how the defense can possibly get out of that. You're going to have to convince the jury that you were tipping people for a good time as a swinger. It's not what was going on. Nobody believes that's what was going on. And he was paying people and flying them around and doing all that. Those are the elements of that crime. They've already been proven. We're on day 3 or some shit, right? So I don't see how he doesn't get popped for those. And you're looking at one of those carries a minimum of 15 years, right? A minimum. Now the other carries life. If he gets the RICO charge, he's done. But no matter what you get for a jury instruction, and no matter what the elements of the crime that you're supposed to be covering or looking at or anything, the term jury nullification, more often than not, is used to describe what happens when a jury should convict somebody and they go, I'm not convicting them, right? Give you an example. Somebody molests a kid, and the father of that kid, right, kills the man. Say walking through an airport. Right? The guy's coming off and he walks up and shoots him in the head, drops him dead right there. Right? Or Bernard Getz in the subway. Now you go into court and the jury can go, you know what? If it were my kid, I'd have done it. I'm not voting for guilty. Now, according to the letter of the law, According to what the judge has told you, you have to find him guilty. If it was without a doubt that he pulled it up, he planned it, he was there, jury can still go, nope, not doing it. It's called jury nullification. And in our country, that flies. There's nothing you can do about it. The jury is the final arbiter of this case. And unless you can prove that someone was paid off or something, there was malfeasance going on in the jury room, right? Then what the jury says goes. But jury nullification can also go in the other direction. They can listen to everything that's said, and what happens in that hallway is going to taint the hell out of the rest of this. You know, you want to start off like a house of fire. If you're going to prosecute somebody, it's going to be a long case, right? It's going to be a long case. But you know you got to start with something that gets the jurors like this, right? They're going to see freak-offs. They're going to watch what happened there. No one else is going to see it. The ruling has come down that the freak-offs are going to be done this way, so that they can see it, but no one else can. These are going to have an effect. The stuff that they're looking at, the stuff that they're hearing is going to have an unbelievable effect on this jury. And we throw around the word misogyny, right? Literally hating women. Misogyny is it's a simple concept. It means you hate women. And I think Diddy hates women. I think he's gay. I think he wishes he wasn't gay, right? That's kind of a macho kind of a world, right? But I don't know that that's misogyny, to be sure. Tommy, there are 6 black men on that jury. Folks are saying that may help him. Honestly, and I know I've heard this. I've heard this theory. And I want to tell you something. If I were black, I'd be hella offended by that theory. I really would. You know what I mean? Because I think, and I know you're repeating what a bunch of people, talking heads, are saying it. Everybody's saying it. So I'm not picking on you. But I believe wholeheartedly that I don't care what color you are. Right? I don't care what color you are. These people are going to hear what was done to her. And they could be, you know, they could be purple, they could be blue or yellow or white or polka dotted. This isn't cricket. I mean, there are people out there that, and I agree. Everybody, there's no arguing. Within certain cultures, how, you know, the DV is maybe viewed differently culturally in different parts of the world. What was done to her is horrific. It's not. I think it'll go just as easily, right? I think more than likely you can forget about their skin color and you can go, these are 6 men that are going to look at a really beautiful woman, right? Who was in the prime of her life, who was talented as hell, and she just got the crap kicked out of her for the enjoyment of this sick bastard. And I think that's probably going to be the narrative. I really do believe that that's probably going to be the narrative. I think that that's a pretty, strong case that that's what we're going to see, right? I don't know how, as a man, you can't look at this and just go that there are flashes that make you go, it's embarrassing to have a penis. You know what I mean? The stuff that this dude was doing to that girl, and I say what you will, what a beautiful girl, right? Just a beautiful, beautiful young woman with pipes, right? She could sing. You know, and this is the worst of Hollywood, isn't it? Right? Put a 2 in the chat if you can think of a worse Hollywood story, right? This is Hollywood. A girl with dreams and some talent, right? A girl with dreams and talent who shows up at 19 and meets a dude that's, 17 years older than her, who wants to abuse the hell out of her weekly, right? Weekly. She and I'll tell you something else that's going to come through. And I just hate to be a guy, but we'll keep it real. For most men, there's just something different about a woman that's 8 or 9 months pregnant. It makes you want to protect them in a different way. I don't know how to explain it, but I promise you that guys will agree with me on this, right? If you're a guy in the crowd, you can put a 3 in the chat if you know exactly what I'm talking about. Wharton Fissel, good to see you. Hey, have fun with the company, man. I appreciate you stopping in and saying hi, Wharton. You're a class act. But you know exactly what I'm saying. You know, you look at a woman who's pregnant, and the thought of what they were doing to that woman. She's a mother, right? She's a mother. She's a daughter. She's a sister, right? Like that kind of stuff. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I don't think that the worst job in the world, I'd rather run the mop at a peep show, right? Than have to go in there tomorrow and cross-examine Cassie Ventura. How would you like to be the person that has to go and cross-examine Cassie Ventura? How good is that going to be? Because you're going to look like a douche. I don't care how you do this. I don't care what kind of kid gloves you put on. Their job is to try to make the world believe that she liked that. That was just part of the fun, man. Right? Come in and pull a train on me until my mouth is messed up from it. And I have UTI so bad I need pain medication. Keep me in there and abuse me until I need IV fluids. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the defense, this has been from the opening bell. The defense is going to be running this on two things. Number one, everybody's a racist. Everybody. The only reason we're taking down Sean Combs, he's a successful black man. That's one of the narratives, right? It's the OJ defense. Right? It's a bunch of racists. And the second defense is, because this was in the opening statement, right? At its heart, this case is about love. I'll tell you what, man. I've had some ugly love. But nothing, maybe, but not that ugly. Tommy, it is a complicated situation. As you know, I am black, and I have had a white and a black husbands. Very interesting how black men think. You know what? I agree. My best friend in prison was black and really intelligent and really articulate. And we have had discussions about this subject matter years before the Diddy case ever came out. And I know that there are cultural differences, but the testimony today, oh, B lady. I mean, I'll tell you what, a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, if you watch Tissa Tells and see her reaction to the testimony today, it was genuine. It was beautiful. I'm a fan. I think she's fantastic. I think she's doing a hell of a job out there. But she broke down. This is, and I watched her. I talked to someone else that was in there, and this was heart-wrenching stuff, right? Everybody in that room, was affected by this. And from what everybody says, Diddy was. Yesterday, he was arrogant. He was cocky. He stood up to mean mug one of the male escorts, like he was gonna whoop up on him from from back behind the table there in front of the court. Funny as hell. But today there was apparently none of that. Today, I think Diddy probably realized this testimony's bad. This testimony is really, really bad. The nipple thing really, really kind of a lot of this testimony that's coming out. Again, I feel so bad for Cassie. The fact that she's got to relive all of this stuff. All of these things, happen in private. Now, everything that Diddy did, the world needs to know about, obviously. But when stuff that you did in private, the whole world gets to see. And you can avoid stuff. You can not talk about stuff. You can do all kinds of things. You can't if you're on a witness stand. The courage that it takes for her to go in here and do this, God bless her, man. God bless her. For real. We know the statistics. We talk about them all the time, right? What is it? It's like 60%, right? It's either 60%. Somebody looked that up for me. What percentage of women don't report sexual assaults? I believe 43% reported this, or 46%. It's a really small number. And one of the reasons is, who wants to do what she's about to do? Who wants to go on there and then have somebody come on and go, you were into it, right? Now, they're going to hire a woman to say it, because God help us. Can you imagine being a dude that had to go and do that? Jump out of a window first, right? Jump out of a window first. Mark Agnifilo having to go up there and tell Cassie, ask Cassie questions like that. They're going to have a woman do it. They're going to have a woman do it. Cassie was so in love with that fool that she just kept being compliant. I will never figure that out. And she knew he had other girlfriends. She also, right? If we're being real, right? This was a very jealous woman. This was a very jealous woman, and by her own admission, right? By the way, she also has hit Sean Combs, punched him in the face, whatever. But the mutual combat thing, once again, estimated 78% go unreported. Thank you, Kristen Melinda. It's a horrifying statistic. It's a horrifying statistic. But it makes a hell of a lot of sense, right? Honestly, sadly, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. Because you're going to have people tell you that it didn't happen. You're going to have people tell you they were into it. You're going to have people say, what were you wearing? Huh? What did you have on? Did you have on a mini skirt? I mean, there's a lot of stupidity, man. Can I tell you what federal prison's like? It sucks. But it's going to suck in a very different way, Christy Wolf, for Diddy than it would for the average inmate. If you're going in there for a gun charge or you're going in there for bank robbery, you have to watch your back that you don't get into trouble. You avoid gambling, you avoid stuff like that. But your freedom is gone, right? Your freedom is gone. You're never going to see women. You're not going to eat steak. You don't have any control over your life. People tell you when you're going to do everything that you do. You wait online for everything. You wait online for food. You wait online for laundry. You wait online. It's a horrific version of Groundhog Day. It's the same crap day after day after day. Boring like nothing you've ever seen. Now, if you've watched movies, you would think that you're either getting raped or you're in a fight with a knife at all times. And the truth of the matter is that's not the way it is. The violence that happens is far less frequent than you would see. It's really different than, what it is boredom for 4 months and then terror. Because once it does, things go bad, it goes bad really quickly. And then you're on lockdowns and all kinds of BS. And that happens constantly. Sonny, RIP, man. Yeah, it's, would he be better off? Would they be better off just not? They can't. You know what, Blue Bayou, though? Yeah, they probably would be. They probably would be. But you can't concede this, right? Here's what they're going to do. They're going to hammer on the fact that she had videos on her phone. Why would you save those videos? Duh. Right? Because this dude did this to you. There was a lot of testimony today about the blackmail, about him saying he was going to release stuff. And, this was just everything about this dude. All the stuff that we heard today that was on the stand, right? All the rumors and the things that we talked about for a year. Today, Cassie brought most of that home, But they're going to attack, why did you keep the videos? And you were the one who hired these people. You were the one who would call these people and set it up, and you would arrange all of this and you would pay them. And they're going to try to break this down to make it sound like this was something that she was very, very into. But I'll tell you what, the smell test is something that we talk about here all the time, right? It doesn't pass the smell test. She was so into it. What, she likes being pissed on? I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't believe that anybody enjoys what we heard her describing today, right? Yeah, let's hire sex workers to literally mess my mouth and my hoo-ha up from abuse over a 10 to 20 hour period of time. It is very much Stockholm syndrome like. It is very, very Stockholm syndrome like. And I'll tell you something, as bad as it is and as ugly as it is to try to as ugly as it is, God help us, man. I honestly, it turns the stomach when you hear it. But as ugly as it is to hear about him hiring somebody so that the two of them could urinate on her, it reminds you instantly of something, doesn't it? That testimony makes you think of who? Come on, peeps. You know exactly where I'm going with this. It's going to make you look like R. Kelly. You understand? It's going to make you look like R. Kelly. That is the proper use of the term trauma bonded, Vanessa. Yeah, this really is trauma bonding. And you know something? There are textbooks written by sick individuals on how to do exactly what he did to her. Right? There honestly are textbooks written on how to break down people, prisoners of war, things like that. And it's carrot and stick, right? It's literally the kind of stuff that she was enduring. I read a book by a guy that had survived being in a prison camp in Vietnam. And he said they would take him out every single day at the same time of day and beat him. And for an hour, they would scream questions at him in a language that he didn't understand. And they would beat the piss out of him. And then they would put him back in the cage. And you couldn't stand up, and the cage wasn't tall enough. But he said that on days that they didn't come and pull him out to beat him, he would be more depressed. That not knowing why they didn't pull him out, right? The break in the routine, it's terrifying to read. But this kind of abuse does things to people's mind that you can't possibly imagine. And there are going to be asshats, right? There are going to be asshats all over God's creation who are going to be talking about how Cassie enjoyed this. She was into it. They were swingers, right? She was just a girl that really loved. Yeah. That she just she likes being abused. Right? Likes being abused. And the sad thing is that this prick was a master of making her believe that if she just did everything right, the beatings were going to stop, right? And she was going to become Kim Porter. She was going to become the lady of the house, and it was going to be a great setup. And they would have kids, and imagine how great he could make the great. People that abuse women this way, after the beatdown, always comes the, oh my God, I'm never going to do that again. I don't know what the hell got into me, right? That is never how, I don't do that normally. Please come back. I'm never going to do this again, right? And there was probably some pretty good gifts, man. It's really ugly, man. It really is ugly. And it is torture-based mind control. But we're going to have, I promise people, you mark my words. Wait until you see the people coming out of the woodwork talking about how this was just a normal relationship, man. These two people just had a normal relationship. I mean, it's not your normal relationship, obviously, right? You don't pee on your girlfriend or your wife. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that if it's two consenting adults. You want to convince me that she was consenting to that. You can't consent to something under duress. Do you understand this is a concept? If you're consenting because you believe that your rent is never going to be paid again if you don't do it, that's not consent. If you consent because this guy holds the key to your future, right? He signs you to a 10-record deal. And the first one, there was some success and things were cool and you start feeling great. You're shooting a video and then he just takes it away. And it's a terrible thing, man. It really is. It's a terrible thing. Sonny says, I pray for his children. You know what? That's a really cool thing to say. It is, because it's, his kids are pretty messed up. I'm sorry, they are. You could not possibly grow up in this environment and not really take a hit. It's awful, isn't it? Megan says, you're right, Tommy. She thought if she paid her dues, she would be the one to have his love and his admiration. Mind control on roids. You know what? That's probably a pretty good way to put it, man. And this is key, right? This is absolutely key. We're talking about a master manipulator. I mean, a master manipulator. She was scared for her life. She was scared for her career, right? And at the same time, terrified of losing the guy that she loved. For real. Jealous of any other woman that he was looking at or with. She told the story of her kind of scowling a little bit, right? Because of how Diddy looked at a girl or something along those lines, and he beat her for it, right? And it's the carrot and the stick. Can you imagine how good those apologies must have been? Can you imagine the kind of things he could do? You know what I mean? Because what does the average jackwagon do? Buy flowers, right? Take the girl to dinner, right? Promise on a stack of Bibles it's never going to happen again or whatever. But there's got to be he could buy her a Bentley. You know? He could put her on a private jet and take her to any place. Let's go to Ibiza. We'll just fly around. We'll go party. Rent the top floor of a hotel, right? We'll have such a great time. We'll lay on the beach. We'll be by the pool. And then let's call in some sex workers at the end of the week for a freak off. Right? Can you imagine? The perfect vacation. Everything is great. And you think, oh, this is the guy that I love. See, he's there. He's there. This is a good person. When no one's around and he's really opening up and he's talking about his childhood. And then a couple of days later, he's forcing you to call people in so that they can pull a train on you for his enjoyment. That's disturbing shit, people. I don't care who you are. That is disturbing. His kids, Megan, boom, booyah. Megan says his kids, especially the daughter, should never have been in that courtroom. What the actual F was on with that? But you know what's funny? They weren't in there when the male sex workers were testifying. I think Diddy is so ashamed of being gay. I think that's really the get down. I think Diddy's gay, right? We all know that there was a whole lot of the egg test crap. We heard, look, everything we heard about the freak offs, Cassie's painting a picture that's even worse, right? Really, what we heard about him, it's worse. Hearing it out of Cassie's mouth, it's worse. I promise. How much else that we heard might be worse? I don't know that we're going to find out, but yeah, money's not everything. Damn right it's not. Damn right it's not. Oh, it's so sad, isn't it? Audra says, all you want to do is be better and hope your abuser starts to love you back the way you're starving for. God help us. It's a great comment, but what a depressing thing to think about, isn't it? God help us. Those daughters have to learn he killed their mother and their father is a homosexual rapist. Vanessa, boom, right? Does that sum it up? Yeah, this is going to be a tough year for the kids. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But we've also seen that there's a pending suit from the Omari, isn't that the girl's name that was on the boat? There's a open case right now with Diddy's kid where he sexually assaulted a girl on a boat, that Diddy had rented. So, that you can't grow up in that environment and not have it get a little shit on you. I'm sorry, you're gonna get smudged up a bit. And I would imagine that it's a lot that the daughters were probably sheltered from a lot of this stuff where Allegedly, the old man and at least one of his sons had participated in freak offs together. I'm not saying they were doing anything with each other, any of that. I'm just saying they were naked and doing stuff. I'll tell you, I couldn't. The possibility, right? Trying to wrap my brain around the concept of that, right? As a father or a son, I cannot, and I am both. Is such a disturbing concept. I really want to believe that isn't happening. Tommy Bird says it's sexual blackmail. It's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. Where have I been? Well, I'll tell you what. I had to take a couple of days off. You know what? It's kind of a dark universe sometimes. But I'll tell you something, people. I don't remember the last time I was this happy. I mean that. I'm getting the last of the boxes and everything boxed up. We have picked out where we're going, and we're ready. The movers are going to be coming. We got, but first, a little Diddy. I am going to be flying out to the Diddy trial here. I'm not sure if it's going to be next week or if it's going to be the one after. I got a little bit more boxing of stuff that I need to do, but I'm getting a lot closer. One thing, something. I'll be really honest. The life that Cassie was living when she was with Diddy, yeah, thank God she was not the mother of the kids. That she was really in a horrific situation. She really was. And I'll tell you something. We're going to hear testimony that's going to make us. I mean, you know how this goes. The next round of questioning for Cassie is going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. It really is. And lawyers, yeah, Megan. Boy, that popped up right as I was talking, Megan. You took the words right out of my mouth. Tomorrow's testimony is going to be riveting. It's also going to be really, really hard. You can't do this kind of questioning without hurting a lot of people's feelings. And as an attorney, their job is to make her look like a liar. Their job is to make her look like she was into this, and this has been a money grab from the word go. This was their relationship, and she used to get pissed if they didn't do freak-offs. That's really kind of how it's going to go down. It's going to be cruel and humiliating. Hope the baby will be okay. Honestly, boy, can you imagine what L. Ron Hubbard would say about it? What the engram or whatever this kid could be dealing with from all of this, because this is going to be. What about the egg test? Says Blitz. You know something? There's not, to the best of my knowledge, there's not one male victim on this case. This is centering in only on women. And I'll tell you something. Makes you wonder about Tony Busby. Sorry, it does. Makes you wonder about Tony Busby. One of the Busby cases is they just started to rule on, and now he has taken his name off of it, right? Because he couldn't manage to get the paperwork done in New York in proper time. Just unbelievable. But his name is now off the case. But this was one of the people that we had heard about, a rate from I think 2018 or something along those lines. And they just ruled that if this Jane Doe doesn't drop her name, then they're dropping the case. They're not going to be allowing a lot of these women to remain Jane Does if they're going to sue him civilly. Well, I'll tell you something. I don't think there's a chance of that happening. I really don't. However, there are going to be freak-off tapes. I don't think the freak-off tapes that we're going to see, that the court is going to show, are going to have anybody in there other than sex workers and Cassie Ventura. I don't think we're going to see the list of all of the stuff that happened at the Diddy parties and all that crazy stuff. I don't see it happening. I don't. Sadly, I don't. People don't realize how sick you become yourself when you're with somebody like this. It takes a while to become yourself again. Audra, I would imagine, and I hope I'm saying that right, because I never get anybody's name right. And I don't know that we've ever said hello. Welcome to the boat. I think there are people that never heal from this. Sadly, I think it happens as often as not. Much love from Australia. You know what? Interesting comment. Much love from Australia. Everybody should watch American Gangster for context of the world Diddy was born into. And then be cool for a clear parody reference to folks like him, if not him. It's actually a pretty astute point, right? So if you do watch the film American Gangster, it highlights a time in New York City where Frank Lucas was sort of the king of the city and was moving all kinds of dope being heroin in from Southeast Asia. And Diddy's dad allegedly was a dope dealer and a pimp that worked for Frank and for that whole crew. And he ended up getting unalived. Apparently, that's right, blue magic. Apparently because he was a snitch. He was a rat. And apparently, allegedly, he ratted because he didn't want to go to a wedding or some such shit. Like literally, it was a really weird story. Like it was not for the reasons that most people do. Edward Bowe says, can't wait for the verdicts to be announced. Yeah, it's going to, I would imagine I'll tell you this is moving a hell of a lot faster than I thought it was going to. Really. Now, I don't know what's going to happen after Cassie. The beautiful thing is this. They came out like a house of fire, right? They're firing. This is a really, really good start to a prosecution. I don't know where you go from here because we knew a great deal about the Cassie story, right? We knew Victims 1's story because Victim 1 had a lawsuit that we knew that lawsuit, everything she said in that lawsuit was going to show up here, right? So we had a pretty good idea what Cassie's going to say on the stand. We didn't understand how ugly it is. Vanessa says it's 4 a.m. in the UK. You are a trooper. If you're staying up till 4 a.m. to see me, I love you. It is, I mean that. That's really awesome. It's 8 o'clock here, 8:06, where I'm at currently. But I I may be changing time zones here shortly, people. I really am changing time zones here. I'm moving to a beach. So you really looking forward to it. You are hardcore. I love that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I love the UK crew is awesome. You know, we've got a pretty decent number of people from the UK. I really dig them. You know what? This is always going to be the case. This is always going to be the case. Sadly, Diddy is a product of how he was treated, and Diddy is replaced by already another monster. It's how that industry is. Absolutely grotesque cycle. You know what? Would it kill us to regulate it? And I'm not usually that dude. You know, I'm not usually that dude. But we talked about Nickelodeon yesterday and how, you know, something you can legislate. You can. You can protect people in these industries. You could do things that would at least make a damn effort to protect these people. Because I'll tell you something. We're hearing Cassie's story. Do you have any idea how many rock star women were abused their entire career and none of us ever knew it? And that's terrifying, man. For real. You know, the pioneers. I have a real thing for Etta James. And you know what? That woman didn't have an easy life. What a set of pipes, though, man. Nobody can sing like Etta James. Nobody. I like Aretha, too, but Ain't Got Jack. I may crank a little Ain't Got Jack when this is over. And you think about how much talent has been wasted and never heard of. You know what? What a terrifying comment. How many people just got brushed off to the side because they weren't ready to bend over or they weren't ready to get on their knees? Talent that just was not allowed in. I watch a YouTuber who does a crime channel, and his number one rule is don't write down your crimes. Number two is you don't screw up your kids. I'll tell you what, and from MASH, you got to love that. Those are two really solid rules. I knew a guy in federal prison, and I'll tell you what, the entire time I did time, I met one dude my entire life who no shit was a stand-up cat. I mean that. I'll tell you straight out, I wasn't. There you go. I wasn't a stand-up cat. But I met one, and we were shooting the shit, and we were talking about, you know, our crimes and this and that. And I said, you know, what'd you get caught with, or what did you get caught for? And we got to be pretty close. We were in the shoe together, and he got caught with a grip of cocaine. I mean, a lot of it. Like, this was a guy that was moving hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And I said, you know, you couldn't beat it. You couldn't beat the case. I'm like, because usually guys selling hundreds of pounds of cocaine made a lot of money, and usually they can go get really, really great lawyers. And if they're not gonna, if they don't beat it, they sure as hell aren't gonna do a whole lot of time, right? This guy said, I took a public defender. I said, you took a public defender? He goes, I didn't sell drugs and risk my life so that I could give all of the money that I made to an attorney, and then my family would have to live like shit. He said, no, I made sure that all of that money got to my family, and I took a public defender. He said, what was I going to save? 10 years? He said, no, I'll do the time for my family. That's a stand-up cat. But the entire time I was down, I only met one of them. Never met anybody else with that story, ever. And by the way, he got a hell of a lot of time. He got a hell of a lot of time. But Diddy's doing the exact opposite right now. Diddy's hemorrhaging family money, and he's going to prison. Now, best case scenario, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, Diddy's going to get life plus about 15 years. Best case scenario, he beats the RICO charge. They give him 15 years, and they don't have to give him 15 years. Best case scenario for Diddy, best pipe dream scenario for Diddy, he could be out in 10. But there's no chance in hell that's going to happen. And it's not going to happen because Cassie Ventura is far tougher than he is. I'm sorry, getting on the stand and doing what she's doing, although we're going to get a much better idea for how tough she is tomorrow. And I got to be honest, I'm glad that I am not going to be there in person for this one. I don't think I would want to watch this. This is a sad thing to say, isn't it? It's a sad thing to say, isn't it? I feel like everyone who winds up in Hollywood or works for Hollywood is abused at some level, right? Ah, what a cool thing to say. Thank you. I mean it. I appreciate that. I can tell in the sound of your voice, Tommy, that you actually care about this. I appreciate that in you. Well, thanks. That's a kind thing to say. That really is. That's a kind thing to say. That's right. The Menendez brothers are getting a second chance to be out and about. That's true. And it's funny that you say that, B lady. I'm not sure if this is why you're saying that, but Johnny Scoville, my brother said to me today, he goes, I said, he's going to get life. And Johnny said, so did the Menendez brothers. I don't see Diddy going in there and doing everything right. Right. I think Diddy's going to get into a hell of a lot of problems in prison. And I'll tell you why. Diddy likes to have sex with men. And the fastest way to get into all kinds of trouble in prison is to have sex with men, because jealousy will happen in there and those people will kill you. Right. The guys that do, like the people that live that lifestyle are going to, that's the worst drama in the world. They don't let those people on and I'm not saying those gays or whatever, but people who are actively sexually active are all getting sent to one place, because two of them will destroy a yard. Once people find out it's happening, the drama that pops up, people want them dead. It's just all kinds of bad. And the fact that Diddy is massively sexually active with men, I don't think he's going to do well in the joint. I don't. I think he's going to have a lot of problems and a lot of drama. And ain't no chance. I forgot the date. They're out on parole on June 14th. I think June 14th is their parole hearing. Correct. Now, theoretically, they should absolutely get it, right? It should be a lock. It's almost a foregone conclusion that they would go in there. They've not done anything wrong. They've done everything right. Their good time is still intact. They should absolutely get their first board. So, and I'll be really honest, folks. I'm looking forward to that. I know that I got a little bit of hate mail about it. Actually, no, it wasn't hate mail. I got a lot of people that disagreed with me, but everybody was pretty cool about it. But there's a lot of people that want the Menendez brothers to stay in. I do not. And June 14th, I will be living in my new home by then. And I am hoping that I can watch them walk out of prison. That's going to be I'm going to take a joy in that I can't explain. And I know people that are going to bum out about that, but I am excited to see those people walk out. I'd like to see them. I'd like to see him have a dissent mail. Well played. Well played, Kristen Melinda. You wordsmith, you. Well played. By the way, folks, I hate to do this to her. God, I hate to do this to her. I was going to do this last Sunday, but this Sunday I am going to be doing a prison show on the boat, and I am having on Kristen Melinda, who is going to be talking about the time she spent in women's prison. That's right. No, she didn't go to prison, but she worked in one, and it's going to be interesting to get her opinion on this. Oh, B lady, I'm telling you, I am moving quick. By the 14th, all of my stuff will be moved to the new home. Before that, though, I will be heading to so that I can report to you live from New York City, the Diddy trial. Nothing like, I love New York, man. I really do. New York, New York. The city's so nice they named it twice. I'm actually really looking forward to visiting there, and I'm bringing Johnny Scoville with me because we are from. Oh, do you have any idea how much I would love to get a show with Jodi Arias? Jodi Arias is okay. So look, I'm a true crime nut. I can't watch regular stuff on TV anymore. I can't watch movies. I can't watch any of that stuff. I can watch anything filmed with one camera. So I watch interrogations. It's like all I watch. And I'm not going to lie to you. Jodi Arias is in my top 3 favorite interrogations of all time. And I don't mean one of them. I'm talking about the whole series of her being investigated. Because to watch that woman change her story and lie on the fly, it's absolutely remarkable to watch the gears turn as she creates new, her gears are turning, watching her do yoga and stand on her head. And she was a bizarre, bizarre case, man. Maybe a show with Suge. Hey, if I could get a show with Suge Knight, I would be all over it. Although, I will tell you this, folks. I will tell you this. New Orleans. I love New Orleans. No, I am not. I'm not moving to New York, nor am I moving to New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I could live in New Orleans. I really could, but I needed an ocean with waves. I'm moving to the ocean. It's in my life, I've had chapters, and I've lived in really high elevation in the mountains, and I've lived in Texas in the heat, and I've done the Arizona desert, and I've done Utah up in the mountains. Anywhere you can ski, I lived in a lot of ski places. But it's time for the beach. I'm getting old. You know what I mean? Yes. Did I hear the interview with the kid with the monotone, creepy voice? Yes. That kid's that's a really creepy. I watched it with Johnny Scoville. Yeah, that's a creepy interrogation. It really is. Clearwater. You know what? You busted us. You told somebody, Johnny? Yeah, no one was supposed to know we're going to Clearwater. I don't know how you came up with that. Yeah, I'm good. I'm popular with the Scientology crowd. I thought it would just be a good fit. It's great. It's absolutely great. All right, peeps. Before I let the cat out of the bag, which will make Johnny Scoville beat me within an inch of my life, because it's going to be an unveil. Yeah, we're gonna unveil it. But in the meantime, we got a vacation, and we got to go see the Diddy stuff.
Diddy, baby.
I am going to be back tomorrow to talk Diddy. I hope all of you will come back and join me. Look, the time has come, people. Let's talk about the Diddy case. I will bring you all of the news that's fit to print, and you bring your intelligent comments, because I'll tell you what, you guys killed it today. It never ceases to amaze me how much you guys know about the cases that we talk about. And you know a lot about this one. Between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor. Stop looking for happiness in the same place that you lost it. Feel me? You're never going to find happiness in the same place that you lost it. So if your problem was alcohol, or your problem was blow, or anything else, we get sober, and then we get that 2 or 3 months, everything is groovy, and you get to a point where you think, you know what? I could buy a little bit of happiness. It could be a little bit better. And you go and try to find happiness in the same place that you tried to buy it last time. And I promise you, you can't buy happiness. You just can't. Okay? You can rent that shit, though. Between now and the next time I see you, reduce a little harm. We'll see you on the next one. God bless.